so he wouldn't call God, he wouldn't talk about God's awesomeness. And Daniel was so upset when Israel had been subjugated that he wouldn't call, he wouldn't talk about God's might, because if God's mighty, why is Israel subjugated? And that seems to be the story for Jews, is that it's these promises of, you know, of great power, but then it's just been one disaster. I mean, it's been history has not really borne that out.
Borne what out?
Borne out that I will protect you and I will.
There's nothing here about
no, but you just said you said this is talk, but you're saying this is
it's
what
saying
the
about
others. And you're saying the Hebrews will be watched over by God. Those nations who are their friends will be blessed. Those who are their enemies will be cursed. That how is that come to pass?
Well, like the 1,000-year Reich only lasted what, 12 years, 15 years. I mean, the United States, which has been good to the Jews, has lasted and prospered for 200 years. The British Commonwealth, which has been relatively good to the Jews, has lasted a long time. Poland, which is crappy to the Jews, has been carved up endlessly. Germany, got divided in two. Russia, they haven't had it so good, and they were bad to the Jews.
Well, I think that's a very selective...
Spain, they kicked us out in 1492, and they lost the Armada.
The Alhambra. Yeah, but I think that's a very selective interpretation. You could say that Europe, which was where Jews were treated as a piñata for 1,000 years, inherited all the might of the world. Yes, they did, but they you know, that was the sun never set on the British Empire, but European power.
Well, look at the 2006 World Cup. Italy beat France. Italy was much kinder to the Jews during World War II than France was.
Somebody pointed that out, didn't they? There was a rabbi somewhere who said, "I know, I'm asking you."
No, I just came up with that myself. I'm pretty proud of it.
All right.
The Italians really
the Irish have been very good to the Jews, whereas the British have been not as good, and yet Northern Ireland is still in the hands of part of a united kingdom. So I see different examples, really. And look, Germany and. Yes, the 1,000-year Reich didn't last 1,000 years, but Hitler, Hitler came to power on an anti-Jewish message. He prevailed in his contest against the Social Democrats and so forth. So, yeah, I would contest the idea that those who are friends of the Jews have generally won, and those who are not have been cursed.
So chapter 12 verse 5, it says, Abram took Sarai and Lot,
yeah,
and all the wealth they had amassed, and all the souls they had made in Haran. Now when it says the souls they made in Haran, do you think that means converts that they made to ethical monotheism, or do you think that means slaves that they acquired?
Well, all right, I'm sorry, give me...
Chapter 12 verse 5.
12:5?
And the souls they made in Haran.
Okay.
So,
the souls, yes.
According to the Outscroll, the souls refers to those whom they had converted to faith in Hashem. Abraham converted the men and Sarah the women.
Yeah.
According to the simple meaning, however, it refers to the servants they acquired.
Yes, yes. No, here it says it doesn't say. It says the persons that they had acquired in Haran.
So acquired, was it through teaching them about God, or do you think it was like buying their services?
I doubt he bought their services. He purchased them, and my understanding is Judaism is very clear. The slaves are Jewish, or they're because I mean that's correct, isn't it? So and what else could have been the context? No, he wasn't proselytizing. He was. But the slaves are at least bound by Jewish law, right?
Well, some Jewish law. I mean, they're too busy.
Right.
To daven 3 times a day.
But if you need someone to turn your stove off on Shabbos, can it be a slave?
Yeah, I think so.
Can a mamzer do it?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, okay. All right, so they're kind of Jewish.
Well, they're either. I mean, well, there are bigger problems if your slave is Jewish. You have to do more. You have more obligations to them than if they're not Jewish.
Oh. Because my understanding is that, like, for example, the Bombay Jewish community, I knew several kids from that community, and they were always curious because they look just like any other, like Hindu Indians from Bombay,
Mm-hmm.
and they asked, finally, I was with them as they were trying to find out how their community came to be Jewish, and finally one rabbi told them, oh, there were Jews who at some point who were in Bombay and bought some slaves, and then they left, and you guys are the descendants of the slaves. So, yeah, my understanding is that yes, these souls were were slaves. But again, here it says persons. It's interesting to me that the conservative translation would say persons, whereas the Orthodox would say souls. Isn't it? Wouldn't you think it would almost be...
Well, in the Hebrew Bible, there's no notion of a soul separate from the body. So when the Hebrew Bible says soul, it's co-equal with the body.
What's the word? There's nefesh?
The Greeks.
Right.
Greeks introduced the idea of dualism. The body and soul can be at war or even separate. So whenever the Hebrew Bible says soul, it means it's never separate from the body.
I'm constantly learning the ways in which I've been Hellenized. Huh. Okay. All right. Well, that's interesting.
So chapter 14, verse 21, after Abraham won a war, the king of Sodom says to Abraham, "Give me the people and take the possessions for yourself." And Abraham replies, "I'm not going to take anything." So there's a lot of that in the Bible where they win a battle and yet they don't take any of the spoils. And I'm thinking how far we've come from that with Jewish charities today. I mean, what Jewish charities today would not take money, even if it came from a pornographer or a drug dealer or an insider trader or...
Right. Well, that's...
But they were pretty choosy back in biblical times.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's a sign of power, I think, is when you no longer have to be discreet. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems when you're still in a position of vulnerability and you're trying to earn people's trust, often people try to demonstrate, no, we're classy and we wouldn't do that sort of thing. But when you're, when you're more powerful, I guess you don't have to look as hard, because I don't know. I see that as an expression of Abram's vulnerability versus the relative power of Jewish organizations today, or confidence or something.
Chapter 14, verse 14. When Abraham heard that his kinsman Lot had been taken captive, he armed his disciples, who had been born in his house 318. He pursued them as far as Dan. So when it says Abraham armed his disciples, do you think that means taught them Torah?
No, I think in the tradition of Jesus, I think this is a Bible and a sword kind of thing. I don't think he worried too much about Torah lessons. I think he I don't know what he did. I don't know what it was. No, I think he taught them violence. But yeah, I mean, look, that's look, the Jewish today kind of progressive, more bleeding hearty Jewish groups would be uncomfortable with that sort of reality, but certainly the Torah itself is not pretending otherwise. The Torah is pretty clear on its appreciation for violence. So I would be surprised if he told. I mean, the shock would be if he told them he just, I amassed a legion of men and taught them Torah, and then we moved forward. That would be the shock, right? Okay, what is... I'm going to try to mine your wisdom here, because Melchizedek is an interesting character to me, because he's not only...
Something about he's the high priest of God Most High? Is it?
Right, of El Elyon.
Which chapter does he come in?
Well, I'm looking at him right now in 15:18. Okay. I'm sorry, 14:18.
Okay.
And... and it said, and King Melchizedek of Salem brought out bread and wine. He was a priest of God Most High. Well, that's big talk. The and it's interesting on a lot of levels, but I'll just I think in all the Hebrew Bible, I don't know whether there's any time that a Gentile is spoken of in such powerful terms as that.
Yeah.
He's not. It's really emphasizing that he's God in his highest form. That he's a priest of that God. He is not just. This is no just. He's no mere right